Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome to this emergency live stream. I'm your host, Nick Lazani, and right now it's just me on this live stream, but I have invited other people, so if they do join in the live stream, that's probably why. So, yeah, I'm here, and right now I'm going to be talking about a bit of a situation that I'm in. So first, let's go over this context of why, if you've seen the thumbnail and the Irma had not seen much BS before meme. I'm gonna have to turn that off because that's gonna interrupt the live stream. This is about me being blocked. And now I'm trying to get this resolved with the Disney Wiki admins, so hopefully I can get unblocked. So it's honestly kind of a mess. So I'll tell you exactly like what the problem is. So first, let me share screen. So right here on the Disney Wiki, there's a character named Cassidy in Witch, one of the Chicken Guardians. And right here it says C.H.Y.K.N. You may think, oh, that's her last name. Except that was never canon to the Witch comics. And Hallinor, again, it says Clarkson, but again, not canon. Let me go down here. I'll just do CAD. And click. It says Cadma Starlighter, which that is not her last name. And while I do think Starlighter might be a real last name, it doesn't make sense for the Fire Guardian to have the last name Starlighter. Like, that one's especially egregious. And Krosnick, again, not a real last name. So you get the idea. These last names are not canon. All of these actually define their origins in fan fictions. And I can show you exactly where I actually found some of those origins of the last names. So, yeah, no awkward silence. Yeah, no, that's going to be a problem. Sure. Okay, here in this is where the last names came from. So I'll share this where the last names came from. Took me a while. Sorry for the awkward silence. Share screen. Right here. So where most of the last names came from. C.H.Y.K.N, right here in Lex Van's The Return of Chicken. It says C.H.Y.K.N, Eleanor Clarkson, and Cadmus Starlighter, but weirdly not Nerissa Krosnick. That came much later. And here it says Nerissa Diamond, which I don't know if anyone. I mean, I've heard that Starlighter might actually be a real last name, but I haven't heard anyone have the last name Diamond before. Like, whose last name is Diamond? But yeah, these last names come from here. They're not official. They're fan fiction. This is just, I don't know. I honestly don't know why you stole his fan fiction. I honestly don't know why you stole that. And I don't know if you've ever credited the guy. It's like, you should have credited. And how it somehow ended up on the Disney Wiki, I don't know. Again, those come from fan fiction. They're not canon. So, yeah, okay. And this is one of the few times AI was helpful. Not that I would recommend using it, but it did actually help me find the origin. So I'll show you the Krosnick origin. Writer. You see here? Krosnick. And here, Cassidy's last name is McLean, which I guess makes her related to Chris McLean from Total Drama, if this fan fiction is real. But again, this is all fan fiction. So you can see here, this is where Krosnick actually comes from. So again, and you also, I'm not going to try to crap on Lexum or Funaho Misaki or any of them. But when you're using last names that with those origins defined in fan fiction and not ever crediting them, like, that's kind of stealing. And I'm not a big fan of that. And this whole like canon becoming fandom becoming canon type thing. I think it was made fun of in like an episode of Gumball. And you're like, that doesn't sound too bad. I mean, you could just edit them. No, I can't do that. I tried to do that, except this is a very... I was blocked by one Pixar princess on the Wikia. So, yeah, I can't do that. And apparently, from what I've heard, this is actually a very common, like repeated behavior of theirs, because I believe that others have been blocked by them when they were trying to remove misinformation from the page. But to read their justification out loud to you: abusing multiple accounts, inserting false information. I mean, yes, I did use multiple accounts, but you blocked me then, and you blocked me a second time. And I'm not inserting false information. I was removing false information from the Wikia that defines itself with fan fiction. Fan fiction that you never credited the person for, whoever created the page. I believe they may have been on the Witch Wikia at one point, which several of the moderators had to remove because, again, those last names are not canon. Like, okay, C.H.Y.K.N, Clarkson, McLean, maybe even Krosnick, like those ones possibly could be someone's last name, but Starlighter? Seriously? Why would you give Starlighter to Cadma? She's the guardian of Earth, not fire. It's like, watch the TV series or read the comics. I mean, those could be the lowest form of effort possible. And the fact that we're adding false information, no, I was removing false information. And I'll show you what the edits I made look like. Right here, this is the initial edit I made. I removed the last name. And this was my justification. Krosnick was never Narissa's last name. I'm trying to change the page's name, but I'm unable. Whoever can edit into the air, please edit it so this error can be removed. Krosnick is not a canon name. It's a fan fiction name. This is almost as bad as using the civil end sign as the Austro-Hungarian flag. And of course, they did the whole like reverts your edit kind of thing. Like, Pixar Princess, like, now, I'm just going to put this as a disclaimer. Please do not harass them about this. That is not okay, regardless of the circumstances. But having said that, they sort of turned this into an editing war. I never intended this to be an editing war, but then they just turned in, and they're essentially abusing their own power to edit some power to keep in false information that just should not be there. Like, and I'm not the only one who's complaining about this, okay? I'll read you a few comments on that initial post on Reddit I posted about it, and you can be the judge. The wiki seemed to have a lot of questions from Crown Clown 74. The wiki seemed to have a lot of questionable info on them. Why the frick, the fridge, would they have would Cadma have a name like Starlighter? I salute your work. Starlighter is so bad it makes my skin crawl, LMAO. When a fan wiki like this treats fanon, such as the supposed last names of Chicken, as if it were canon info, it loses all credibility. How am I supposed to trust you then? I like the rest of the surnames, but I agree that Starlighter is a stupid surname for Cadma. It should be more something Middle Eastern in origin, since that's the kind of vibe I get for her. Maybe one that translates to Starlight. Now, you can be the judge of that all you want, but I'm not the only one who's complaining about using non-canon surnames. And again, regardless of what you may think of those surnames, they should not be on the Disney Wiki because they're not canon. Though, I mean, fandom's had a lot of controversy, so I'm not too effing surprised. Also, I think one of them was Lost Talks. I'm not sure. The way they've been talking, it seemed like it was her. Also, Lost Talks, if you don't know, she just had surgery on her hand because she had CTS, carpal tunnel syndrome, and it was preventing her hands from moving properly because of like repetitive hand movements. You can look that up for yourself. Now, sometimes I do get that, and what I usually do is I stretch my hand out. It doesn't always work on everyone, but when you're in early stages, it's best to probably do that just to prevent stuff like that. So please support her as much as possible. Also, she doesn't need a GoFundMe before you ask. Healthcare in the UK is actually fairly robust, and I don't think it costs all that much. So, plus it's public healthcare, so something we should have in this country. So, don't worry too much about her. But please keep her in our thoughts and your prayers. And I will show you one of her videos about, but having said that, I will show you one of her videos, and again, you can be the judge. Check where that is. Don't want to use that. Okay, let me check. Forgot which video that was. Okay. So this one, again, I'm not the only one, so you can watch Laws's opinion. And also, just FYI, I'm trying to be as transformative. I'm not doing the whole, like, I don't know, SS Sniper Wolf kind of thing, where she's just like, oh, wow, blah, 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 and never gives them credit. And I think she has had to cut out a lot of stuff. So I will give credit to her, and I will put this in the description so I can link it to her video so you can watch that on your own and judge it for yourself. And I will try to be transformative with it. I will be commenting on it. And so I will also bring my own insights.
Going back to people's surnames, though, we've got the mystery of C.H.Y.K.N's surnames. If you're not aware, C.H.Y.K.N is the abbreviation for the previous group of Guardians. We're not talking about actual chickens here. The previous...
I'm not going to do a chicken jockey joke right here, but it would be weird if there were a jockey team. Also, do not toss popcorn in a movie theater. Please don't. Okay?
Guardians being Cassidy, Halinor, Yanlin, Kadma, and Narissa. Chicken. Now, for some reason, and I have no idea how this happened, it became fanon on the internet, so much so that it appears on fanfiction.net. It is literally everywhere. I see people tagging them with these names on Tumblr. People keep trying to edit the wiki to put them back in, and we have to keep taking them back out because they're not canon. Someone somewhere along the lines came up with these fanon surnames for the other members of C.H.Y.K.N that aren't Yanlin.
And just FYI, I did find those fan surnames from those two fan fictions. And again, if you haven't seen that, rewind the stream. So again, they come from two fan fictions. Lexham's fan fiction, which is where C.H.Y.K.N, Clarkson, and Starlighter. I forgot it so much. It was so bad, I think I wiped it out of my mind. Almost Thanos snapped it. And there was another fan fiction where that was where Krosnick had it. And it was also weird because Cassidy also had the last name McLean in that one. So, yes, I did find the surnames and their origins. So it was from that fan fiction, and basically when you're doing that, you're literally stealing someone else's fan fiction without actually giving them credit for it. So I suggest you credit their creators or something like that.
And they got picked up, and then people thought they were canon, but they aren't. Their names are not Krosnick, C.H.Y.K.N, Starlighter, and whatever the hell Halinor's last name was. I don't even remember. Someone told me what they thought it was. Clarkson? Clarkson. I think it's Clarkson. And obviously it's hard to Google because the Witch fans that do know that they're not canon are always trying to purge all reference to these names from...
And that was, again, something I was trying to do. I was trying to purge the last names from the Disney Wiki. But yet, they kept coming back up, and I got blocked over it. So what the heck, Disney Wiki? Or better yet, Pixar Princess. Again, don't harass them, but still, what the heck, Pixar Princess? Why are you gatekeeping information that is not canon? Like, you're giving off the same vibes as that stupid character from Gumball who put fanfiction as canon in the show. Like, you know, the car win being replaced with car ball. I'm not going to elaborate further on that. But yeah, go and watch that Gumball episode. It's actually a really good one. It's actually really funny, and it basically sums up my opinion on this whole thing.
From the internet, because they're not canon. So then when you're trying to actually look it up to make a video like this, it becomes difficult. But yeah, people had them down as being Narissa Krosnick, Cassidy C.H.Y.K.N, Cadma Starlighter, and Halinor Clarkson. Those are not their names. They were never... C.H.Y.K.N were never given canonical surnames. I don't know.
Yeah, again, it's like they were never given canonical surnames. And it was something that they were never thought of with last names. Like Yenlin, she was given a canonical surname, though that could also just be a name given to her by marriage. So maybe even that might not technically be canon as her maiden name. Especially since, like Lin is actually Chinese, like Han Chinese or Mandarin for forest and not air. So, which is kind of weird. So maybe it was a different name originally. But yeah, Starlighter is not canon. Krosnick is not canon. Clarkson is not canon. And C.H.Y.K.N is not canon. And it's also weird that you picked all those that begin with C, but then Starlighter just stands out as just being a different letter. Like, if you're going to use like a forest surname, why not just use the last name Cypress, which is a type of tree, or Cedar, which is also a type of tree. Can't come up with another, or cherry, or cherrywood, or something. But no, you went with Starlighter. Like, that's just ridiculous. Like, it's so bad, it's hilarious. Like, Starlighter? Is Cadma seriously a Star Wars character? Like, if you're gonna give that surname to anyone, why didn't you just use Althor, since he was implied to have been a Guardian at one point? And he's technically an alien character, so it makes sense for him to have that last name, but Cadma. Seriously, like, Cadma? Cadma's last name isn't Starlighter. Please stop giving the last name Starlighter to a character that doesn't need it. Ugh. This is really hurting my brain.
I don't know why. Obviously, they would have surnames, or at least you would assume they would have surnames. Bearing in mind, though, that there are very many issues with the comic timeline regarding C.H.Y.K.N that we're not talking about in this video, because this is purely the show. But there are some mysteries over there that we will need to talk about someday. But they were never given canonical last names. And I'm all for fanon. By all means, come up with fanon surnames. I certainly have. I actually decided with my own, when I'm doing like writing witch fanfiction and working on, my headcanon continuation of the show, I kept C.H.Y.K.N because I actually liked it. I thought Cassidy C.H.Y.K.N actually sounds like a really nice name, so I kept it. But it's just important to know that those aren't canonical names, and that means that their real names are still a mystery. We will probably never know. They maybe weren't ever given any. Like, maybe the writers don't even know what their last names were because maybe they never came up with them. But I find that hard to believe. I find it weird that they wouldn't at least give them a full name. I don't know why you would create a character and not give them a surname. That's really weird to me.
Yeah, I would agree, yeah. So, again, you can be the judge of that video all you want. So, but again, those last names aren't canon, and basically what you're doing is stealing others' fan surnames without giving them credit, and you're placing it on the Disney Wiki. And it's hard to remove it because some freaking admin thinks it's a good idea to keep them on and block me over removing misinformation. Hey? You know a reason why people hate Fandom Wiki? It's because of a lot of those bad moderators. who are very, very toxic. Like, and I think the Disney Wiki, like, it's not really the only Wikia that has this problem with misinformation. There's, I think, like, the Lost Media Archive before it was moved over to Mirahaze. Then there was the Backyardigans Wiki, where some of the admins were gatekeeping the two pilots. And Melodius was not happy about it and cut off all ties with them and released the pilot himself. And was pretty angry at the gatekeepers, just like everyone else was. Then there was my problems with the Power Rangers fan Wikia, where they kept harassing me because there I did vandalize, which, yeah, I definitely should not have done that, but a lot of times I was just... But then they just kept harassing me about it. And so to ban me infinitely just over something I was... But in this case, I was completely innocent. I was trying to remove misinformation. Like, C.H.Y.K.N was never Cassidy's last name. Clarkson was never Halinor's last name. Starlighter was never Cadma's last name. Or I don't know if it's anyone's last name. Though apparently some people do have Starlighter as their last name, or Starlight. Krosnick is not Narissa's last name. Those are not their real last names. They were never given real last names. Now, is it lazy they never gave them last names? Yes. But if you're going to give them last names, but again, it's better to stick with the facts and wait until the creators actually come up with a canonical last name. Or maybe in like that weird like Witch live action. Oh, wait, I just spoiled. Yeah. Someone in an interview said that they're considering doing a Witch live action series, which, you know, hope it's nothing like that failed Powerpuff thing or, God forbid, Fate the Winx Saga. Ugh. I just hope it's nothing like those. And also, we got to consider, like, you know, the special effects budget. Are they going to look good? Are they going to look bad? Are we going to see some crappy-looking water or earth that looks like crap and not intentionally? And if Blanc appears, like, I don't know if he's ever going to be in it, because that was a TV series creation. It was because of a drop pilot, which I have mixed feelings on Blanc as a character. Sometimes he's really funny, other times where he's just doing gross out. It's really not funny. Like, is he gonna look good? And would he look good in like CGI or like a rubber suit? And if they do end up going CGI, like, hopefully he doesn't do like a skippity Blanc joke just to be hit with the kids. Like, skippity skippity Blanc Blanc Blanc. Sorry if I got a cursed image in your head. But is it gonna be good? And also for casting, like, personally, I would go with, like, for Irma's father, maybe David Arquette or someone. Because, you know, funny cop in Ready to Rumble. Even though that movie was pretty mediocre. And it actually destroyed WCW. But I digress. And maybe former Power Rangers could portray their parents. Well, also... And I always thought of, like, maybe Mackenzie Foy as Narissa if we get to season 2. Because Mackenzie Foy once stated she would want to portray an antagonistic role, so maybe that would be a good segue into it. So, like, and if they give them actual last names and ones that are not the fanon ones, especially not Starlighter, I'm sorry, I just cannot get over that whole Starlighter thing. Starlight, won't you want to see me tonight? Like, seriously. Again, that's a fanfiction-y last name. And also, again, You're stealing from Lexum's fanfiction by doing that. Uncool of you. And it kind of reminds me of, like, you know, those fake flags on Wikipedia info boxes. If you watch, like, Najrant's videos, you've seen, like, how people thought the civil ensign of the Austro-Hungarian, like, merchant ships was apparently the national flag, even though it never was. It was simply just a civil ensign, and sometimes a naval ensign, but that's neither here nor there. But it was simply its civil ensign, and it never really had a national flag. And the closest thing it did to having one was, like, the Habsburg, like, bicolor, black and yellow and black and gold or something. And nowadays on info boxes, whenever they do need to place a flag for Austria-Hungary, they just use the Habsburg flag. So, and it's like, for comparison, like, imagine thinking that the Gadsden flag is also the flag of the U.S. Like, or that red naval ensign is also the flag of the U.K. Like, of course it isn't. Like that is just so stupid. And also, considering the fragmented nature of Austria-Hungary, such a flag design wouldn't even be proposed. And it's exactly the same thing here, using last names that were never real, never assigned to those characters, and you're treating them as if they're official. They're not. They are unofficial fanfiction surnames. They're not canon, they're fanon. So please stop trying to make fanon and canon worlds collide. This absolutely makes me really, really angry. And the fact that I got blocked over trying to remove those surnames, like, I was doing nothing wrong by doing this. I had to remove them because they're not canon. Like, Wikia pages should only list canon information. Like, sure, sometimes people have weird surnames. Like, my last name, by the way, Zandy, may sound a little weird, but it's actually pretty common in, like, in some Italian areas, like in Oronzo, Italy. And it's also an Iranian surname, so my last name's kind of all over the place. And also, I think it's also a Dutch surname, from what I've heard, because of Zandam, Netherlands. And it's also weirdly an African surname, like the Azandi tribe. Or Azande, however you pronounce that. And the weird spelling of my first name, that's because, you know, hockey player. I was named after Lidstrom. But Starlighter, I mean, I'm sure that's an actual last name from what I've heard, but that is just plain weird, especially, again, since this is the Earth Guardian you gave the last name Starlighter to, and not the Fire Guardian Halinor. Like, you gave it to Cadma. And for me, it's like, it just seems like, you know, this was like, for Lexum's sake, it was like probably for like a high school project. And considering some of my high school projects, which I will not play because it has copyrighted music, yeah, they look pretty bad. In fact, I don't even want to watch them because they're just bad. And I'm just embarrassed looking back at them. So I imagine, like, I don't want anyone to crap on him too much. He probably was just trying to get those last names out of the way and was just thinking of, okay, Starlighter, let's just give it here. Clarkson, that's normal. C.H.Y.K.N, yeah, sure, why not? Diamond, sure, why not? And then that other one was like, let's go with Krosnick. And just not think much about it. Like, again, it was probably just some like edgelord fan fiction from your high school days. And everyone's had that. I mean, Lost Talks made a video about some of her old edgelord fan fictions, like Irma apparently being a fan of 2.5 Men, even though her voice actor never appeared on it. In fact, it was Will's voice actress. I forgot what her name was. Kelly Stables. She was on 2.5 Men, so though to be fair, I don't think Will be a fan of it either. But that's not the point. And so it's just like when you're placing, and so yeah, it's just like I think that Lexum was just thinking of like, okay, like what names should I put on them? Because I don't have anything to go with Nick. I don't have any nicknames to go with. Yeah, let's use C.H.Y.K.N, Clarkson, Krosnick, not Krosnick, Diamond, and Starlighter. Not knowing that those would become official because of the Disney Wiki. And to an extent, the Witch Wiki, which I think those were removed from the Witch Wiki, according to Lost Talks. I don't know if they ever were on the Witch Wiki, but again, please stop treating them as official. They're just from a fan fiction origin. Now, I'm not going to put the blame on Lexum. I don't think they intended them to be canon. They were just thinking of surnames on the top of their head. And it's possible it might not even be them who created it, and that they started earlier and they were just happened to be the ones who popularized it. Who knows? Maybe there is an early one that has that, and someone can correct me. But as far as I know, they were the ones who started it. And to you guys, if you're watching this, sorry that your fan fictions had to be put on blast because people were overusing those last names and not giving you permission at all. Not asking for permission from you, and overall not crediting you. That is absolutely, and I'm sorry that all this led to this. I'd say keep doing your fan fiction all you want. It's perfectly fine. You don't have to stop doing it, but just know that that you have to make this as a disclaimer to please not copy your fan fiction. And if someone does copy, they need to credit you. So anytime I may have used Krosnick or anything, or like Clarkson or C.H.Y.K.N or Starlighter, I will credit you with them. I'm sorry this whole thing just happened. A lot of people just made a mountain out of a molehill. Now, I'm trying to get this fixed with some of the Disney Wiki admins, so hopefully I may be able to get reinstated, and hopefully Pixar Pinky can be demoted at least, because I think they should be, because others have also experienced this, and they're not happy about it either. So my best hope is that something good can come out of this. Now, again, please do not harass Pixar Pinky about this or send death threats. That is not okay, regardless of circumstances. I don't want this to turn to a death threat war or a flame war or anything. All I want is just some justice. And I just want the Wikia to only list canon information. And I'm also thinking about, what I'm thinking about doing is probably putting a disclaimer in like the notes section on the Witch Wikia that says, of their Witch Wikia pages, that says there was rumors going on that their last name was such and such, but those were not canon. Those define their origins in fan fiction. which is not canon to the TV series nor the comics. It's absolute. I don't know if I have to do this. I've had to ask them on the Wikia, hey, can I do that? And I hope that they can respond by saying, okay, dude, we'll remove. And if I can get the okay to do it, maybe I'll do it. I'll probably just start by putting Yanlin as like, she's the only one whose last Chicken Guardian whose last name is canonically confirmed. So I did probably show you the possible origins of those last names. And again, they're from fan fiction. They're not real. So for everyone to see, and I hope that everyone watching my live stream can at least see, okay, those are where the names came from. So I hope that can clear it up. Also, on a lighter note, here's some exciting news. On Sunday, my neighborhood will be hosting a picnic, and the day prior we'll go shopping for it. And so I hope to see everyone then who can come. Also, I'm going to be planning on something that I've wanted to do for a while, and that is afterwards an online witch-themed trivia game. That is like multiple different rounds, a comics round, a TV series round, a merchandise round, a video game themed round, and possibly something else entirely. I don't know. Like for that final round, I might have to, like, maybe a music themed round or something. So again, just, or maybe a fan fiction thing. So if anyone's interested, please do so. I will put the link in the description as well as my community tab for those who want to consider joining the possible trivia. Also, I did a bit of a survey on what people think each color corresponds to each element. And some of them are surprising, some of them aren't. It's the like, what color are each element? And these are our responses. Since I don't think we're going to get any more responses, here they are. So most of you picked magenta for Will. Dad, not now.
Okay. I'm going to do chicken and
Dad, not now. I've got a live stream.
okay, I'm going to do chicken and spinach. Okay.
Okay. Not now. Also, spinach might be expired. As I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, most of you picked magenta as Will's color. The second was light pink, then pink, hot pink, purple, white. So you guys picked magenta as the color of quintessence. So for Irma, for the water, you chose cyan. About half of them you picked cyan. 8 of you, 50%. Well, 5, 31.3%, chose blue. 2 chose sky blue at 12.5%, and aqua, 1 of you. So you at least agree that it's at least a shade of blue. For fire, it's actually almost a tie between blood orange and fire. That was one where there was a bit of an argument. That one kind of surprised me a little. And 4 of you picked orange, and 1 of you picked crimson. Earth, this was the one that was the biggest landslide. 11 of you, about 68.8%, picked green. 4% picked chartreuse, and brown at 6.3%. 1 of you picked it. So, and then there's air, which that one had the least amount of consensus. But most of you picked light cyan, followed by silver, yellow, navy blue, and white, all followed up by lavender, purple, and sky blue. And most of them found this because of Reddit. So, honestly, some of them kind of surprised me a little bit. Like Cornelia's, that one was like one where almost everyone agreed that green was Cornelia's, like the earth color, but Lynn's was the one that was like the most divided. And I'll just show you the average. So let me get that up. They are, for quintessence, neon fuchsia, water, azure blue, fire, deep orange, earth, vivid green, and air, ash gray. Yeah, there was so little consensus on air that it just ended up being ash gray. Which is honestly kind of funny. Just ash gray. Yeah, there was like no consensus for Lynn in her element. It's just like everyone just chose a random color. Now, for my personal colors, for quintessence, I would agree with the consensus that magenta is that it's probably fuchsia. Water, definitely blue. Tirani, fire, red or orange probably. Since a lot of people say fire is red, but it's actually orange. Cornelia, earth being green, that one I generally agree with the consensus. Air, I would probably go with like lavender or something. So it's just kind of weird, again, just how little there was of a consensus. This is on air. Like, there was a consensus on Earth. The other ones, not as much. Like, Cornelia's was probably the easiest one to figure out, but the others, that one's pretty hard. Though also, which is not like Power Rangers where everyone wears color-coded outfits. I mean, sometimes they do. Like, Will definitely wears her color a lot. And unlike Lost Ox, I'll actually defend the pink and orange combination, as I don't actually mind it that much. Suits her pretty well. But I do think that all the Guardians should at least wear their colors so that's easier to tell. And that's one thing I hope they do for the TV series. Maybe even their Guardian outfits could include, like, maybe different colors for each Guardian so that it's easier to tell who's who. Kind of like what they did with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the TV series, where they changed it from all red to each having a different color so that we could differentiate them based on personality. Like Will's being pink, Irma's being blue, Tarani's being red, Cornelia's being green, and Helen's being purple or something. I don't know. Also, we're getting to the end of our live stream, and it's been about an hour, and no one else has showed up. So, for anyone who was watching, thanks, I guess. I don't know if there's any views right now, but if anyone watches afterwards, thanks for watching. And have a good summer, and hope you've enjoyed your 4th of July, I guess, if you're that proud of being American, which I'm not. So, take care.